I was sitting at the registration window, helping a man file a birth certificate for his newborn. Please expedite it, we're heading abroad for the New Year holidays. At first, when I saw the mother's name, I thought it was just a coincidence, but the birth date and household registration matched too closely. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress the shock rising inside me. The mother must come in person to sign the birth certificate. 20 minutes later, the mother appeared at the window. It was none other than my wife, Oriana, who was supposedly abroad studying and had always insisted on staying child-free. Chapter 1. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mind went completely blank. Oriana looked noticeably fuller than the last time I saw her, wearing a loose dress and radiating that glow only mothers seem to have. She used to treasure her long hair. If I accidentally tugged it even slightly, she'd be furious for half a day. Now, she had chopped it into a short bob just to have another man's baby. In front of me, she had always been proud and distant, like gracing me with a glance was a favor. But now, she leaned into the man's chest like a doting little wife, the picture of happiness. We'd been married for 6 years, and our intimacy was so rare you could count it on one hand. Oriana always kept her distance and made it clear she didn't want children. She was ambitious, and I understood how much pregnancy could affect a woman's career, so I chose to respect her. Last year, Oriana claimed her company was sending her abroad for 2 years of advanced training. I didn't hesitate to support her. I even sold my car to give her some living expenses. Just a few days ago, she sent me a message. Sorry, babe, I have to rush my thesis. I won't be coming back home for the new year. Looking back now, it was all part of the plan. When she finished signing and handed the paperwork through the window, she looked up, right into my cold, furious eyes. Her smile vanished instantly. She spoke awkwardly. Let's keep adult matters between adults. Don't drag the child into this. This is a public space. Whatever you have to say it at home. So she did know how disgraceful this whole thing was. Seeing the line of people behind her, I swallowed my rage and shoved the birth certificate at her. When I got home and opened the door, Oriana and that man were sitting on the couch waiting for me. As soon as she saw me, Oriana lit up and grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the dining table. She quickly brought out a steaming bowl of beef brisket soup. I spent hours making this. Try it, if you like it. I'll make it every day. All the years I'd known Oriana, she'd never once cooked for me. In the past, I would have treated this bowl of soup like a rare gift and finished every drop. But now, my stomach churned. I wanted to dump it out. Seeing me frozen, Oriana tried to sweet-talk me with a flirty smile. Nothing happened between Dominic and me. The child was conceived through IVF. He's sick and didn't want his parents to have regrets. So I agreed to be the surrogate. My heart skipped a beat. Dominic. That was Oriana's high school crush, the one she could never have. No wonder she broke her vow and chose to bear a child. She wanted to win over her dream guy. I looked over. Dominic sat calmly on the couch, his gaze flashing with a hint of provocation. My hands clenched into fists on instinct. Oriana leaned close to my ear and whispered coquettishly, "Just think, if you agree to be the godfather, you'll gain a son for free. Everyone wins." She really had it all figured out. Turns out, Oriana never hated children, she just didn't want to have my child. Disgust surged through me. I shoved her head off my shoulder with force. She stumbled and immediately snapped, her face twisting with anger. "Marcel, I'm already apologizing humbly. What more do you want? Don't act like some poor victim. It's my body. You don't get to control my reproductive choices. I came clean because I respected you, but your reaction is seriously disappointing." The living room fell silent. The air itself seemed frozen. Dominic hurried to steady Oriana, anxiously checking if she was hurt, then scolded me in a heated tone. "Some men you are, blowing up at your own wife like that. Pathetic." Oriana clung to him like a wounded bird, gazing up with teary affection. Even now, they couldn't resist putting on a show in front of me. Bang! I swept my arm across the table, sending the bowl of soup crashing to the floor in a cloud of steam. I sneered. "Oh, so you do know Oriana is my wife? Then tell me, who the hell are you? Her boy toy, the homewrecker, or the scumbag who used her as a surrogate?" Chapter 2. Dominic's face turned deathly pale. He clutched his mouth and started coughing violently. Seeing her beloved, god-tier crush coughing like that, Oriana couldn't take it. Without a word, she rushed to shield Dominic behind her and pointed at my nose, yelling, "Marcel, can you speak like a normal person? I chose to have Dominic's baby. Stop barking like a mad dog." And as if that wasn't enough, she added, "Didn't Buddha say that saving one life is more virtuous than building a 7-story pagoda? Aren't you afraid of going to hell for acting like this?" Just to defend Dominic, the woman who didn't even believe in God suddenly invoked Buddha, and even cursed me to hell. A bitter taste welled up in my throat. My wife had another man's child, and somehow I was the villain. In Oriana's eyes, I should be endlessly grateful just for the chance to marry her, never asking for anything more. Backed by my love for her, she had long grown arrogant, spoiled and entitled, always twisting things to make herself the victim. But when all was said and done, I had only myself to blame. I had been pitiful and foolish. Oriana gently patted Dominic's back, eyes filled with worry. I glanced at him. He sipped from his cup with delicate ease, lips curving into a subtle, smug smile. At that moment, everything felt like a joke. I stood up and headed toward the bedroom. On the way, my foot landed on the broken porcelain shards from the bowl I'd shattered earlier. Bright red blood soaked into my white sock, but I didn't feel a thing. I opened a drawer, pulled out an old box of cigarettes, and lit one. Oriana always hated the smell of smoke. This pack had been sitting untouched for years. I took a deep drag. The bitter smoke swirled in my lungs, as if it could somehow dull the ache in my heart. The nicotine numbed my nerves, helping me hold back the rage. Without it, I was afraid I'd do something truly reckless. So I just sat there in silence, letting those two carry on their cozy little love story outside. Suddenly, the door burst open. Oriana walked in, frowning and covering her nose, then snatched the cigarette from my hand and threw it into the toilet. Who said you could smoke? Don't you know I hate the smell? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? No wonder Dominic's coughing so much. It's all your fault. Her words almost made me laugh. She could even blame this on me. Before I could respond, Dominic deliberately coughed a few more times and said in a peacemaker's tone, Ori, don't be mad. It's fine. I can handle a little coughing. The moment he spoke, Oriana looked even more heartbroken. She rushed to open the windows and air the place out. Then she grabbed a bag from the couch, carefully poured out a few pills, and handed Dominic a glass of water to take them. That kind of tenderness, I'd never seen it from her, not once. A sharp pain shot up from my foot. I looked down and saw the wound was bleeding again. Limping slightly, I walked out, grabbed my car keys, and headed for the door to get stitches at the hospital. Just then, Oriana's voice rang out behind me, dripping with contempt. Marcel, stop acting like a drama queen. Dominic is actually sick, and you're here throwing jealous fits. Have some empathy. He's been taking care of me all year. What's wrong with me taking care of him now? My hand froze on the doorknob. I turned around and locked eyes with her. By that logic, I should be thanking him, I said coldly, for knocking up my wife. That hit a nerve. As if marrying me had been the biggest stain on her life, Oriana completely lost it. She stormed over and started hitting me, punching and slapping with no restraint. Still not satisfied, she raised her stiletto heel and stomped hard on the most vulnerable part of my foot. Ah! My scream shook the air, the searing pain shooting through every nerve in my body. Over the years, whenever Oriana got upset, she never hesitated to hit me, no matter the time or place. Now, after hearing me insult Dominic again, she was beyond furious. She crossed her arms and stared coldly at me, curled up on the floor in pain. Marcel, she said, I expect you to treat Dominic with respect from now on. So what if I had a baby for him? It's just a womb rental. Why are you being so dramatic? Chapter 3. Half an hour after arriving at the hospital, I got 10 stitches in the sole of my foot and was diagnosed with 2 broken toes. 3 days in the hospital, Oriana didn't call even once. Before I even opened the door at home, I heard the sound of a baby crying. As I stepped into the house, what greeted me was a picture-perfect family of 3. Oriana turned to look at me, her smile freezing mid-expression. Oh, you still remember this as your home? I thought you died somewhere. Dominic walked up with the baby in his arms, smiling as he introduced, Sweetie, this is your godfather. When you grow up, you need to thank him properly. He dragged out that last sentence, his smugness practically dripping from every word. I glanced at the baby. The features were practically a carbon copy of Oriana's. I said nothing, just stared at Oriana. She looked unbothered, even annoyed. You didn't spend a dime or lift a finger, yet you're still acting like a victim. If it weren't for Dominic, you'd probably rot in a nursing home with no one to send you off when you die. Hearing her twisted sense of logic made me feel like I'd swallowed a fly. Disgust rose in waves. She was the one who insisted on staying child-free. How was this suddenly my fault? Without a word, Dominic shoved the baby into my arms. Come on, let Godfather hold you. We're all one big family now, aren't we? Idiot. I reached out to push him away, but he mistook it as me accepting the baby. As the baby slipped downward, Oriana lunged forward just in time to catch him. The baby burst into loud wails. While I hit the floor, groaning in pain, Oriana let out a breath of relief, then turned to me in fury. You heartless bastard. It's just a baby. Were you really trying to kill him? If anything happens to my son, I swear I won't let you off. I sat on the ground in cold sweat, clutching my throbbing foot. Oriana didn't even spare me a glance. She was busy doting on the child she had with another man, and for the first time, I felt relieved. Thank God we never had a child together. If she hated me so much, how could I ever expect her to love my child? This kind of rejection and pain, I'd rather bear it alone than involve an innocent life. I dragged my injured leg into the bedroom, refusing to face the disgusting couple outside. Lying in bed, I mindlessly scrolled through social media. The algorithm suddenly pushed a photo of Oriana and her family of 3. I tapped it. Sure enough, it was her account. The dream guy I couldn't have when I was young. I've recreated him now. Within minutes, her friends were flooding the comments. Oh my God, your husband is so handsome. He looks just like our high school heartthrob, Dominic. This is literal fairy tale love. After all those twists and turns, you two ended up together. Oriana didn't deny it. She even liked that comment and responded with a blushing emoji. Choosing a high-quality baby daddy is the real meaning of motherhood. Ori chased Dominic for so long, who would have thought? Now she's got his child. They say you never get over what you couldn't have when you were young, especially if it's a person. Everyone around her seemed thrilled to watch her fulfill her fantasy. Everyone except me. None of those friends had even met me, except her bestie, Elise. Sure enough, Elise chimed in right on cue with a not-so-subtle jab. A toad can never compare to a white horse prince. Hurry up and marry him, sis. In her eyes, I was nothing but a leech, useless and not worthy of Oriana. She'd always stirred up drama between us, bad-mouthing me behind my back. I used to ignore it all, for Oriana's sake, but now, I was thoroughly disgusted with both Oriana and her so-called best friend. My finger hovered, then tapped like on Elise's comment. Then I replied, blunt and to the point. Thanks for your support. Once the divorce is finalized, they can finally be together. This toad wishes them and their perfect little family a lifetime of happiness. And just for good measure, I posted a photo of our marriage certificate. Chapter 4. Elise wasn't wrong. I did chase Oriana with everything I had. Back then, after Dominic rejected Oriana's confession for the 7th time, he boarded a plane to study abroad. That period nearly broke her. She wandered through her days like a ghost and even climbed to the rooftop, ready to end it all. Luckily, I was up there too, smoking in secret. I spotted her just in time and pulled her back from the edge. Watching her cry, like a flower soaked in rain, it was impossible not to feel compassion. Somewhere in that process of saving her, I fell in love, determined to pull her out of that unrequited crush. I did everything I could to win her over. Everything Oriana once did for Dominic, I gave her back twice as much. Maybe she saw some reflection of her younger self in me, because eventually she started to accept me. She'd been raised by her grandmother, and they were extremely close. When her grandmother fell gravely ill, Oriana proposed to me herself, hoping to fulfill the old woman's final wish. Despite my family's objections, I emptied all my savings to buy her a house and a car, doing my best to give her everything she wanted. On her deathbed, her grandmother clutched my hand with tears in her eyes and entrusted Oriana to me. I naively believed that if I gave her enough love, she'd love me back someday. But reality has a way of proving that not everything can be earned through effort. My phone started blowing up with notifications. My comment had gone viral, likes climbing by the second. Oriana's phone exploded with calls, her parents, her boss, even her colleagues, all demanding to know what was going on. She stormed into the room like a furious lioness, completely losing control. Marcel, delete that post and those photos right now. I didn't do anything to betray you. I smiled coldly and pointed at the baby in Dominic's arms. Then how did he get here? You said it's your body, your choice. Why not let the internet decide who's in the wrong? That hit a nerve. Oriana's lips trembled. That's because Dominic doesn't have much time left. He didn't want his parents to grieve. He didn't want to have a child with just any woman. I cut her off, voice low and bitter. When he dies, can you promise to never see that child again? Even now, knowing she loved someone else, I still clung to the fantasy that we could stay together. I'd already stepped back 1,000 paces, yet she hadn't taken even one toward me. Tears welled up in her eyes, her voice breaking as she failed to respond. I looked at her quietly for a long moment, then said the words slowly, one by one. Oriana, let's get a divorce. She had been drowning in sadness, but now her eyes turned bloodshot, and she glared at me in fury, her voice trembling with rage. Dominic is dying. Can't you have a shred of sympathy? Why must you force me into a corner? All I did was lend my body. I never cheated on you. Is that really worth a divorce? You call yourself a man. You're so petty it's pathetic. Even now, she still thought this was a small matter. She truly couldn't understand why I was making such a big deal of it. I didn't respond. After a long pause, Oriana suddenly seemed to reach a decision. Her brows relaxed slightly, and she bit her lip as if gathering courage. If you really care that much about having a child, once I recover, I'll give you one too. That way our kids can grow up together. I felt a crushing exhaustion. When I'd begged her countless times to start a family, she had always refused flat out, saying she wanted to stay child-free forever. But now, just to defend Dominic, she was willing to trade her womb for my silence. I gave a bitter smile. I don't want that anymore, Oriana snapped, screaming hysterically. I'm willing to sacrifice my body and have multiple kids for you, Marcel. Don't be so greedy. So, having a child for another man made her a saint, but giving one to her husband was some kind of unbearable burden. Without hesitation, I told her, let's just end this peacefully. She scoffed through her nose, her tone turning cold and threatening. Fine, just don't come crawling back like a dog, begging for forgiveness, begging. We'll see who ends up begging who. Chapter 5. In the end, Marriage left us with only two roles, the defendant and the plaintiff. It took me 6 years to realize I had lost this marriage completely and irreversibly. Back when we got married, I put the house under Oriana's name to give her a sense of security. I even added the cars. Never did I expect that one day in court, Oriana would cry crocodile tears and accuse me of domestic violence. She edited footage from our living room camera, cutting out everything except the moment I pushed her and she hit the shoe cabinet. She even kept the part where I accidentally nearly dropped the baby while facing away from the camera. Dominic, acting as a witness, straight up fabricated a narrative that painted me as a dangerous, abusive husband. Watching how smoothly they coordinated their lies in court, it was clear they had rehearsed it. I knew then I had walked into a trap. Everything had been orchestrated by Oriana, just to make sure I walked away from the marriage with nothing. They plotted every step while I stood there blindsided, humiliated, and helpless. After the divorce papers were finalized, I just wanted to go home, pack my things, and leave this cesspool behind. But as I was about to step out, I ran into Oriana and Dominic returning home, hand in hand. I chose to walk right past them, dragging my suitcase toward the door. Oriana suddenly slammed her hand on the suitcase and spat something that made my blood run cold. "Open it. I need to check you didn't steal anything from me." Before I could even respond, she unzipped it herself and dumped everything onto the floor. Then, a small wooden jewelry box slid out. It was my mother's heirloom, a jade bracelet she left behind. Oriana lunged forward and snatched it before I could react, shouting, "Isn't this the bracelet you gave me when we got married?" "Wow, Marcel, you're still trying to steal from me. Disgusting. That bracelet was meant for my future daughter-in-law, my mother's dying wish. Now that we were divorced, Oriana didn't deserve it." Seeing her greedy, entitled face, I raised my hand and slapped her hard. "That's my mother's keepsake. Give it back. You don't deserve to touch it, you vile woman. You can keep the house, the cars, I don't care. But this, you will not take from me." Oriana held her cheek, eyes wide with disbelief. Then, a venomous glint appeared in her eyes. Clutching the bracelet tightly, she let out a sinister laugh. "What's given is given. You don't get to take it back. If it's your mother's, then let her have it in the afterlife." And with that, she hurled the bracelet out the window. It traced a perfect arc before plunging from the 16th floor. A sharp, unmistakable sound of shattering echoed through the quiet complex. Oriana covered her mouth and let out a high-pitched, cackling laugh. Rage surged through my veins. I grabbed her wrist, unable to hold back anymore. "You psycho. Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" Suddenly, a blinding pain exploded at the back of my head. Warm liquid soaked through my collar. The room spun violently. Dominic stood behind me, face twisted in a sneer, holding a fire extinguisher, still stained with blood. "So much for a dying man," he hit like a weightlifter. "Dominic, you scared me to death." The look in his eyes, he was going to kill me. Oriana dove into Dominic's arms like a startled rabbit, faking tears and clinging to him as though she were the victim. I held my throbbing head, bile rising in my throat, and collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath. Dominic shook his head slowly, his gaze dripping with scorn. "What are you scared of? Guys like him, nothing but bark and no bite. If he keeps pushing, I'll just smash his skull next time. Let him reunite with his dead mommy." Their laughter rang in my ears, followed by the deafening slam of the door. Just before I passed out, I saw a slender figure rushing over. It was the new neighbor from next door. She knelt beside me, stopping the bleeding and dialing for an ambulance. "Don't fall asleep. The ambulance is almost here. Just hang in there." Her voice was like music, gently pulling me back from the edge of death. After surgery, I stared at the medical bill in silence and had no choice but to call my older brother. His furious yelling exploded through the speaker. "You deserve it. That manipulative witch never loved you. You gave up the entire Chan group for her. I should have taken you to get your head checked." He wasn't wrong. I had brought this on myself, back then, to accept Oriana's sudden marriage proposal. I cancelled the family-arranged engagement and gave up my status as heir. My brother had tried to talk sense into me, even uncovered proof that Oriana was still in close contact with Dominic. But I, love-drunk and delusional, ignored it all, boasting that I'd make her fall in love with me. And now, beaten half to death, broke, and without even enough money for hospital bills. I get it now, big bro. From now on, I'll do whatever you say. Good. Then get back here, and your place as heir will be waiting. Chapter 6. I saw Oriana again 3 months later, at a real estate sales center. She was clinging sweetly to Dominic's arm, whispering with him in front of a housing model display. When Oriana looked up and saw me, her face stiffened noticeably, and she quickly averted her gaze. Dominic noticed the shift in her demeanor and turned, locking eyes with me. Well, couldn't hold your job at the certificate office, so now you're selling real estate," he smirked. "With that sharp tongue of yours, you'd starve to death as a salesperson. All bark, no charm." Funny, he used to look like he was dying. Now he looked healthier than ever, with a glow on his face and a bounce in his step. Oriana let out a fake little cough, then said in a condescending tone, "We're looking to upgrade to a bigger place. Got anything to recommend?" That one made me laugh. I was just doing a routine inspection, and they mistook me for a sales agent. I let out a cold chuckle and couldn't be bothered to respond. I walked right past them, but Oriana grabbed the corner of my jacket, her expression sour. I was trying to be nice and let you earn a commission. Don't be so ungrateful. All your cards got cancelled, remember? Don't be stupid about money. I had cancelled those cards because she'd linked them to her shopping accounts. Watching those endless luxury purchases ping my phone while I worked my ass off. Infuriating. She was spending my hard-earned money to support another man and their illegitimate child. And now, the woman who once pushed me off a cliff came back pretending to throw me a rope. I curled my lips into a smile and said calmly, "This is a luxury villa district. You don't just buy in because you want to. If you're paying with your own money, good luck. That mortgage interest isn't pocket change." Dominic didn't have a job due to his so-called illness. Oriana was covering all their expenses, living off her obsession. He got free meals, free rent, and even a son handed to him on a silver platter. My words cut to the heart of it, mocking him for being a freeloading parasite. His face darkened instantly, storm clouds gathering in his eyes. Oriana stiffened, then erupted with hostility. "Who do you think you are? Looking down on people like that? Don't project your failures onto us. I will be buying this house. Dominic needs a place with lots of greenery and good air. It's for his health." Dominic looked at her with a smile, and gently tucked a loose strand of her hair behind her ear. That's when I noticed the green Submariner watch on his wrist. The memory came flooding back. Last Valentine's Day, I'd found that very watch in Oriana's bag and thought it was a gift for me. Ecstatic, I tried it on, only for her to snatch it away and snap. "Who said you could touch my stuff? You couldn't afford this watch even if you sold your kidney." She later claimed it was a gift for a client. Now I finally knew who the client was. I looked up with a mocking smile. "Each square meter here costs 100,000 yuan. Don't embarrass yourselves trying to play rich." She took that as a major insult, her face flushing with rage. "Call your manager. I'm filing a complaint. Arrogant little mutt. I tried to help you, but no, fine. You want to be punished instead of praised." Her voice grew louder, laced with venom, attracting attention from all around. Soon, the sales manager came rushing over. "Hello, I'm the manager here. Is there something I can help with?" Oriana jabbed her finger toward me and launched into a tirade. "This so-called professional has no manners at all. He insulted us, treated us with contempt, absolutely disgusting. I want a formal apology. Better yet, I want him fired." The manager turned to look at me, and his expression shifted wildly. He stood stunned for a moment before finally stammering, "Mr. Chan, if I'd known you were coming, I would have personally come out to welcome you." The look on Oriana and Dominic's faces twisted into something indescribable. That moment brought an indescribable rush of satisfaction. I gave a small smile, raised my hand, and gently pointed toward Oriana. "Kindly escort them off the premises, and from now on, no property under the Chan Group is to have any dealings with these two. 80% of the residential projects in this city belong to the Chan Group. They would never find a better home again." Chapter 7. My secretary called to say a woman named Oriana wanted to see me. Human nature is pathetic. We only obsess over what we can't get or what we've already lost. Everything else feels disposable. Security brought her to my office door. She stood outside for a full hour before I let her in. We'd been married for 6 years, and it was always me waiting on her. It was time she tasted that same feeling. Oriana stood in front of me, her eyes dull and uncertain, voice timid. "Marcel, was it you who got me fired from the company?" Now that she knew who I really was, the arrogance was gone. If this were the old Oriana, she would have charged in and slapped me without warning. Over the years, her smooth climb in the company had a lot more to do with my behind-the-scenes support than her own ability. Even though I'd given up my heir status at the time, the old connection still held weight in the business world. The help I gave her in secret only inflated her ego, made her think she was some kind of genius at her job, and now, she thought I was just a real estate agent and tried to sabotage me. Well, I figured it was only fair to return the favor. I spun the pen in my hand and looked at her sideways. "I just casually mentioned something. Didn't expect your boss to be so efficient. Seems like your company might be worth considering for our next project." Her boss, after hearing my request, replied without hesitation, "To work with the Chan Group, firing one person is nothing. We could scrap the whole department if needed." Oriana's eyes turned red. Her shoulders trembled. She choked up. "That job meant a lot to me. Dominic's sick, and I still have to raise the child. Can't you forgive me? Just this once, for the sake of what we used to have." The way she sobbed reminded me of the rooftop scene years ago, when she tried to jump over Dominic. Even when her grandmother passed away, she hadn't cried like this. I rubbed my chin and bent down slightly, staring into her face, lowering my voice. "What we used to have? You mean secretly having another man's child behind my back, smashing my mother's heirloom, or accusing me of domestic violence in court?" Funny, Oriana, just a few days without seeing me, And now you're begging like a stray dog. The once proud and untouchable Oriana, reduced to this pathetic state. She was probably drowning in regret. For the first time in a long while, the pressure in my chest lifted. It was like karma had finally come full circle. Oriana stood frozen, fury in her eyes but too afraid to speak. Now she was like a toothless wolf, no matter how hard she snapped. She couldn't hurt anyone anymore. Suddenly, she let out a strange, hysterical laugh. You always say I lied to you, but the truth is you lied first. You were a rich heir to the Chan Group and pretended to be poor when we got married. You never trusted me. I didn't bother explaining. There was no point anymore. Instead, I turned, pulled a stack of photos from a cabinet, and tossed them in front of her. You think Dominic didn't lie to you? Open your eyes and take a good look. The photos showed Dominic partying in a gay bar overseas, engaging in things that couldn't be unseen. I'd hired a private investigator recently, and what he found turned out to be a bonus surprise. Dominic didn't even like women, but because his family insisted on continuing the bloodline, he chose Oriana as the vessel. He played the long game, used guilt and fake illness to make her willingly offer up her womb. Once everything was in place, he planned to fake his death and return abroad to live happily ever after with his boyfriend. I hit play on a recording. Dominic's voice came through clearly, talking to his lover. To have a kid, I have to pretend to be affectionate with that woman. It's so disgusting. You don't know how many times I've thrown up in the bathroom after kissing her. I have to brush my teeth over and over. In a few days, I'll trick her into giving me more money for a fake surgery. I'll use it to buy you those limited edition sneakers. Oriana collapsed to the floor, eyes wide and hollow. She looked like a shell, an empty body robbed of its soul. The men she had loved for years had been lying to her the entire time. Chapter 8. Once I cut ties with all that toxicity, my life began to change for the better. I started clocking in at work on time every day and resumed my evening finance courses. I'd wasted too many years in a daze. Now, when it came to operations and decision-making, my brain could hardly keep up. To prepare me for succession, my older brother began assigning me all kinds of tasks. Suddenly, a cup of coffee appeared in front of me. I looked up and met Rebecca's worried gaze. Marcel Chan, your brain just got stitched up. If you push yourself like this again, what if it tears open? Funny how fate works. My neighbor who saved me that night turned out to be none other than the CFO of Chan Group. The moment she brought me a monthly financial report to sign, we instantly recognized each other. Some things are just meant to be. Rebecca had been headhunted by my brother with a generous offer. Not long after joining, she exposed several corrupt employees in the company. To outsiders, she was the definition of icy competence, decisive, no nonsense. Even my brother respected her deeply, but in front of me, she turned into a fussy, endearing girl next door. I rubbed my eyes, took a sip of the coffee, and grinned playfully, getting to drink a cup personally brewed by Supervisor Sue. Totally worth dying from overwork. Her cheeks flushed red, and she pouted before twisting my arm gently. Such a sweet talker. Do you ever act like a CEO? I brought you lunch. Eat first, then work. She pulled out a delicate lunchbox from behind her and opened it. Inside was my favorite, beef brisket rice. I took a bite. It was homemade. I'd often smelled this delicious aroma from outside her apartment door. Finally, I got to try it. Rebecca sat on the sofa, watching me eat with hesitant eyes. After a long silence, she finally said, I need to take some time off. I'm moving. I paused. Didn't you just move? Why so soon? Because there was a murder in the building a few days ago. It gives me the creeps. My chopsticks froze midair. Complicated emotions stirred in my chest. Not long ago, I saw messages in the neighborhood chat. Incident at Unit 1606, female owner attacked her boyfriend with a knife. Word is, his equipment got cut clean off. God, she was always cold and distant. Who knew she could be so brutal? After Oriana found out about Dominic's deception, she didn't lash out immediately. Instead, she kept taking care of him as usual, quietly, patiently. She truly believed that if she just gave enough, Dominic would change for her. That desperate devotion reminded me of how I once was with her. But Dominic didn't just take advantage of her love, he even flew his boyfriend back from abroad. While Oriana was at work, the two of them hooked up in their bed. She saw the whole thing on the live home monitor and rushed back to confront him. Instead of apologizing, Dominic shielded his lover and hit Oriana. He even screamed, "You disgusting woman, have you looked at your body lately? I should get praised for touching you. All these years, you've been clinging to me like some obsessive simp. Anyone else would have dumped you ages ago." That was the last straw. Oriana grabbed a kitchen knife and brought it down hard. Blood gushed from Dominic's groin. He was rushed to the hospital but died from blood loss. Oriana was sentenced to 10 years for intentional assault. The child was handed over to Dominic's parents. Seeing me fall silent, Rebecca quickly lowered her voice. "I'm sorry, Marcel. I didn't mean to bring it up. Before she could finish, I interrupted her. "Have you found a new place yet?" Caught off guard, she tilted her head like a curious kitten and stared at me. Seeing her expression, I couldn't help but reach out and ruffle her hair. "If you haven't found one yet, I've got a spare room. If you don't mind, you're welcome to move in. The moment the words left my mouth, I saw her expression freeze. Panicking, I quickly added, "Sorry, if that makes you uncomfortable. I'll find a new place for you. I mean, you're a senior executive, we can't be careless." Rebecca paused. Then a soft smile slowly spread across her face. "Who said I minded, honestly?" "I was hoping you'd ask." We locked eyes, and something sparkled between us. In that moment, the quiet corners of my heart lit up again. My face grew warm. That very evening, Rebecca moved in, and the more time we spent together, the more I saw another side of her. At work, she was sharp, commanding, a true corporate powerhouse. At home, she was warm and gentle, a bright little son who loved life, loved to cook, loved to travel. With her around, my life, once stagnant and gray, was suddenly full of light and possibility. On her birthday, I knelt down with flowers in hand and confessed my feelings. Tears welled up in her eyes as she nodded through her smile. That's when I finally understood: mutual love, not one-sided devotion, is what makes a relationship worth having.